largest meatpacking plants went on strike in Colorado this morning. Union representatives say it's the first strike at a U.S. beef slaughterhouse since the 1980s. Stock prices higher. News and analysis at townhall.com. For baseball's tallest hitters, robot umpires should bring consistency to a tricky strike zone.
The robot umpire system for overturning ball strike calls is going to be used in regular season games in the majors this year. The abbreviation for the setup is ABS, but the most important letters when it comes to the change just might be SIZE, as in the strike zone for some of the game's tallest players. The top and the bottom of the strike zone for baseball's biggest giants have long been two difficult areas for umpires, but the ABS system provides an opportunity for a closer look. Keith Peters reporting.
It's just about time for March Madness in NCAA men's college basketball. Duke is the top overall seed, joined by Arizona, Michigan, and Florida, the other number ones. In the women's bracket, UConn is number one overall, joined by UCLA, Texas, and South Carolina. More at townhall.com.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's play one commercial.
WVBF is your hometown radio station. And one of the things we like to do to support people in your hometown is to run community announcements. If you do belong to a nonprofit group or organization, or if you're an official with a city or town government, send your community announcements along to our email address.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
Do you have $2 million?
Fast, it allows us to get right back to you if we have a question.
Yes, I'm independently wealthy.
Then you can afford Vinnie Vincent's new album.
Lord,
$2 million.
Your hometown radio station is AM 1530, WVBF, and 99.7 FM. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and do not express the views of WVBF ownership or Hometown Talk Radio. Content aired on all programs are those of the host and their guests.
It's time for Middleboro Matters on WVBF 1530 AM and 99.7 FM. Hosted by Joey Driscoll. Call in at 508-822-1106. And now, here is Joey Driscoll with Middleboro Matters.
Okay, and good morning, everybody, and welcome to Middleboro Matters. I am Joey Driscoll. Today is 3/16/26. All of one wrestling fan out there that might be listening to us, and me and Ron in the studio here knows exactly what day that is. It's 3/16 day. It's Steve Austin Day. So to all the wrestling fans out there, happy Steve Austin Day. But to everybody else, happy March 16th, 2026. It is Monday. It is a rainy and windy Monday, but it is Monday. And it is going to be pretty warm today, which is nice. So at least we have the warm weather. At least it's not 40 degrees and rainy and windy, which is a good thing. So we have that. We'll check the weather here in a second. But open phone lines today, 508-822-1106 is number to call if you want to call in, talk about what's on your mind this morning here on this rainy and windy Monday. But let's get to the weather here. I like to talk about the weather here when it isn't let me start over. When it's very important, there we go, to do so. And today is pretty important. So let's talk about the weather here. We have a high wind warning right now in effect. It is 56 degrees in Taunton, 62 today for the high, 37 for the low. Feels like 47 because of the wind. Again, the high wind warning conditions are expected around this evening, around 5. There's also a flood watch in effect as well, so we will keep a very close eye on that to see if the flood watch becomes a flood warning. I know there's some areas in our listening area that could flood very easily, so that's going to be something to keep a very close eye on is those areas. But it's going to be pretty nice out today. Pretty nice out tomorrow, except for the rain. It will continue to rain a little bit tomorrow. 61 degrees for the high tomorrow. And on Wednesday, we get the sun back, but we also get the very cold weather back. 37 on Wednesday in Taunton with a low of 24. But the temperatures very, very quickly rebound after that. So pretty interesting start of the week. In Middleboro, 57 degrees, high of 63, low of 37. Same weather pretty much. Feels like 46. Same weather tomorrow as well. You'll get some rain in there as well, and it's clearing up on Wednesday. Now, with this weather segment, I like to give people a kind of a comparison of what's going on. And if you tune in on the Sunday program, we have additional cities and towns we talk about in the weather segment. We have 3. I'm going to mention 2 today. And the first one I'll mention is Driscoll, North Dakota. And it is currently 7 degrees out there. 7 degrees. A low of -2 tonight with a high of just 20. The good news is no rain. So that's good. Snow tomorrow, a high of 45 with a low of 11. So the temperatures, they rebound very, very quickly. By the end of the week, you're going to be in the mid-60s in Driscoll, North Dakota. So that's quite the change. Right now it's 7, and by the end of the week, you're going to be in the mid-60s once again. And in Holiday, Florida, and it is a very beautiful day in Florida, across Florida. So that's good. High of 81 today. High of 82 today, with a low of 59 in Holiday, Florida. The weather is much better over there than it is here, and especially in Driscoll, North Dakota. But there are some times during the winter as well. Florida we were talking about 20-degree weather in some of these areas in Florida, but the weather is much nicer, much better there now, which is good. It will be a little windy today in Holiday, Florida, but you got some pretty nice weather. The temperatures do plummet tomorrow, 59 degrees with a low of 48, but they rebound pretty nicely after that. So there's your weather update there. The next thing we want to talk about here in this on the show today. By the way, open phone lines 508-822-1106 is the number to call if you want to call in, talk about what is on your mind this morning. We have a very interesting music topic to talk about today. I wasn't originally going to talk about any kind of music topic today, but I saw this just before we got on the air. And didn't make me too happy to see it. But I do want to talk about this. So, any hard rock and heavy metal fan out there knows the name Vinnie Vincent. He was a member of Kiss. He was a member of Kiss during a very, controversial era of Kiss, I would say. At least for some of the Kiss fans out there, the Unmasked era, where they dropped the makeup and they were just, a normal band, pretty much, with no makeup or anything like that. Their iconic makeup was gone, and you saw Vinnie Vincent in several music videos during that time, and things like that. Well, he left the band after a couple of years being in the band for a couple of years. We sent a new album out, and You can listen to that album if you have $2 million at your disposal. I'm going to say that again. You can listen to his album if you have $2 million. Yeah, that is ridiculous for sure. Each song costs $200,000. Why? Why? I don't get it. So here's a statement here that was put out as well. The album, by the way, is called Judgment Day, Vinnie Vincent, Invasion, Guitar Mageddon. Here's a statement that was put out with this as well. Hi, everyone. Guitar Mageddon is finished. It's been a long time in the making. I'm very proud of this very special album. Yeah, it's special, all right. The entire album is priced at $2 million. The entire album will be offered in master format only. Okay. This includes 10 songs, mixed and master, final product format. All the master files of the artwork, related posters, and 10 separate vinyl and CD packaging art for each individual song should the buyer choose to release the album on a per song basis. The buyer can choose to release the entire album in any format they desire: vinyl, CD, or any other configuration in whole or in part at their discretion. All marketing plans and ideas require approval by Vinnie Vincent. Well, of course it does. The price does not include any right, title, or interest in the copyright. Of course not. Again, that's ridiculous. You're spending $200,000 for a song. At that point, like, I would request owning it, honestly. Because that's ridiculous. Related to Vinnie Vincent or any of the product itself, if the buyer wishes to purchase any associated rights in the compositions, a separate agreement can be arranged and negotiated. The price will also include a perpetual license to use the brand name Vinnie Vincent Invasion and Vinnie Vincent for the life of the album. Option 2, each individual song can be purchased for $200,000. That's ridiculous. Vinnie Vincent. Horrible. This is the worst decision that has ever been made in music. This album will probably flop. It should. Some people will probably buy it. I'm obviously not going to be the one. Not going to be one of them. I do not have $200,000 in my disposal, nor do I have $2 million in my disposal. So I will not be purchasing this album. So if anyone out there does purchase this album, let me know how it is. Because I have no interest. That is ridiculous, Vinnie Vincent. That is horrible. And yeah, let's move on from that. Absolutely worst story I have ever seen in music. I don't know why he thought that up and thought that was a good idea. But yeah. It was apparently an idea in Vinnie Vincent's head. And not a good one. Not a good one. All right, 11:18 a.m. Let's take our first commercial break right now. When we come back, we'll switch gears to some sports. And then we'll do some local news stories as well, and finish the program off today, I believe, with some transportation. So we'll be right back here on WVBF 1530 AM, 99.7 FM. That segment killed many brain cells for me.
Good.
That is horrible. Oh my god. Vinnie Vincent, oh boy. I think there was like somebody else who was also selling their album for a lot of money. I'm just forgetting his name right now off the top of my head. And this was kind of recent too. I don't remember the his name. But yeah, no, that's ridiculous. If you're requesting $200,000 for just the one song, and then you can negotiate the rights to it, just give the person who's buying it the rights.
No,
At that point,
I think if you're stupid enough to spend $200,000 on the song of a guy who was in Kiss for a minute, then you deserve to get taken. I'll tell you what. Why don't you give me half of it? I'll just take 100,000.
It's so ridiculous. I was trying not so hard to get pissed for that segment.
Oh no, it's not worth being pissed. It's more worthy to laugh about. Goodness gracious.
It's just a scam. It's a scam. That's basically what that is. It's a scam.
And if you're stupid enough to fall for it,
Then that's worrisome there. That's very worrisome.
Thank you for listening. Your hometown radio station is AM 1530, WBBF, and 99.7 FM.
Okay, 36. All right, we're back. Now moving on to some much more interesting topics that will not make me mad, like the Vinnie Vincent topic there. But we have some information. Apparently, I saw this online on Facebook that the Sagamore Bridge that has a timeline now for its replacement, or at least something that is being talked about as a timeline. The timeline is as follows for the Sagamore Bridge, at least from this post here. Construction begins in 2031. Traffic shifts to the new span in 2033. Old bridge demolished that same winter. And full completion expected at around 2037. Part of the $4.5 billion bridges overhaul project. And the other bridge, the Bourne Bridge as well, that is also being talked about being replaced as well. There's no timeline for that one, but I just saw that one on the Sagamore Bridge, and that's a pretty interesting thing there. So we'll see what happens when we get closer to the 2030s and see if that timeline is actually correct or not. I'm assuming it'll probably get delayed more, as a lot of projects do. I'm assuming that's not going to be the timeline at the end of the day when construction does actually begin. But at least you're talking about dates. So that's very interesting there. So there you go. Let's switch over now to our sports, as I mentioned we were going to do here. It is March 16, 2026. It is the beginning pretty much now of March Madness. March Madness will begin tomorrow with the first four. And that's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be two 16 seeds facing off to get the honor of being defeated by the number one seed. And I believe the first game here, UMBC versus Howard, they get to face the number one overall seed. in the tournament, which is Duke. Yeah, good luck. Good luck. Duke is very, very good. And UMBC and Howard are going to need a lot of luck to beat Duke. And even then, you're probably not going to beat Duke. Duke is a very, very good team. But it'll be an interesting game tomorrow night, nonetheless. UMBC and Howard, 6:40 p.m. on True TV. Texas and NC State is the 11 seeds in the first four. And that is 9:15 p.m. on True TV as well. So that'll be a good matchup. That'll be a very, very good matchup. These two teams are very, very good, Texas and NC State. So that should be a fun matchup. The other two matches here in the first four for the next day, which is Wednesday, March 18th for the men. You have Prairie View A&M. Prairie View A&M earlier on this year, or actually it was in December actually, so earlier, late last year, was in a bowl game, was in a football bowl game, the Celebration Bowl. I think they won that one. I got to go back and see. I got to go back and double check. But they were in a battle in the Celebration Bowl. I think that game went 4 overtimes. So they are very, very good in football. Now, they're making it here potentially to March Madness if they can beat Lehigh. So we'll see what happens. 6:40 p.m. on True TV on Wednesday. And then Miami of Ohio, they did make it. They did make it. They did not make the mistake of keeping them out of the tournament like some college tournament committees like to do with some teams. Florida State. Florida State. With Florida State, I can understand. Okay, I can kind of understand this. I'm not as mad with the Florida State thing, and here's why. They had a lot of injuries. They had a lot of injuries at the time, I believe, if I am remembering this correctly, and they were undefeated. Yes. Should they have probably gotten in? Yeah. But again, the injuries cost them that. They did make a bowl game, and I think it was a pretty good bowl game, and they did get destroyed. So that was kind of, a lot of people didn't like the call at the time, but it turns out the call was, it was what they needed to do. And same thing with Notre Dame. A lot of people didn't like the call last year that Notre Dame didn't make the championship. That didn't make the tournament, the playoffs for college football. But at the end of the day, the team that replaced them, yeah, I think they made the right decision as well in that aspect. But Miami of Ohio, they're in. They got to go through a first 4 game to get to the tournament itself. They have to take on SMU. SMU is a very tough team, so this is going to be a very tough game for Miami of Ohio. They'll be tested. They will be tested. A lot of the questions about the schedule that they had this year will be answered. We'll see what happens Wednesday night. 9:15 p.m. on True TV. And then Thursday is the start of the first round. You get games like TCU and Ohio State, Nebraska and Troy. One of these games, I think you'll see an upset. I don't know which one, but I think you'll see an upset in one of these games at least. McNeese is a very good team. I would keep an eye on McNeese. McNeese has had some success in the tournament. They are taking on a 5 seed in Vanderbilt. But I would keep an eye on McNeese. That is on 3:15 p.m. on True TV coming up on Thursday. High Point takes on Wisconsin. Hawaii takes on Arkansas. VCU and North Carolina, I'd keep an eye on that game as well. But a lot of these games, I think, might be foregone conclusions as to who wins. I would like UPenn to win. But they're not going to beat Illinois. Almost guaranteed they're not going to beat Illinois. And Pennsylvania is a 14 seed. If they even remotely win in this first round, they'll probably get bounced in the second round anyway. The 9 and 8 seed games are always the most interesting games to kind of watch. Those are always like the most, level games. So we'll see what happens with that one. Gonzaga is a high seed this year. Houston takes on Idaho. That, I think, is a foregone conclusion as to who wins that one. The 10 and 7 seeds as well, always interesting to watch too. One of those games is Texas A&M and St. Mary's. Friday is the second day of round one, which also has some pretty good games as well. Kentucky should have no problem with Santa Clara. Yes, Santa Clara is a 10 seed, but Kentucky's had tons of experience in this March Madness, and they should have no problem. Texas Tech, Arizona, and Long Island University. I don't think Long Island University is going to win against Arizona. If that happens, we're going to see a very interesting March Madness. That is for sure. If they were able to win, but I don't think that's going to happen. Virginia should also win their games. A lot of these games, like I said, foregone conclusions. A lot of these games, but again, there is a little bit of that doubt there because it is called March Madness for a reason. So we'll go over the rest of these games here after our news break. But let's take our news break and we'll be right back.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. President Trump may.
I don't think Alabama on the men's side will have anything to worry about, Ron,
Hope not.
with Hofstra.
I doubt it.
It's the women. It's the women. That's on the women's side. I'm a little questioning.
Yeah.
Because URI is good.
Iranian drones also caused flight disruptions at Dubai International Airport. On the war front, Admiral Brad Cooper, who commands U.S. Central Command, says the military is focused on Iran's threats to freighters carrying oil and natural gas in and around the Strait of Hormuz.
Through a combination of air, land, and maritime capabilities, we have successfully destroyed over 100 Iranian naval vessels, and we aren't done. We will continue to rapidly deplete Iran's ability to threaten navigation in and around the Strait of Hormuz.
The closure of that strait has triggered higher energy prices. AAA says today's national average for gasoline is $3.71 a gallon. Lots of extreme weather hitting the U.S., says National Weather Service meteorologist Ryan Hurley.
There are about 7.8 million people under blizzard warning. We have another 217,000 under winter storm warnings. There's high wind warnings affecting 7 million people. There is a tornado watch affecting 5.5 million. Severe thunderstorm watch is affecting 6.5 million.
Airline CEOs are urging Congress to reach a solution so transportation workers can get paid. The Department of Homeland Security has had no funding now for 1 month. Stocks are trading in positive territory in early trading today, up more than 1%. The NASDAQ ahead by 280. More at townhall.com.
Health insurance rates are surging in America, leaving millions without affordable options. If you're sick of having paychecks eaten up by healthcare costs or dealing with mega corporations, then listen to this. Christians don't need to waste money on a broken system. That's why I want to tell you about Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's an alternative to traditional health insurance at half the cost. With CHM, fellow believers contribute monthly to help pay each other's medical bills. There's no enrollment period, so you can join anytime, and you aren't restricted to provider networks, so you choose the doctors and hospitals you want. It's that simple. CHM is not insurance. It's a ministry that puts faith into action. Feel the difference of financial support and biblical care from fellow believers. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
We're learning more about the 6 U.S. service members who died in last week's air crash over Iraq. Here's correspondent Julie Walker.
The U.S. military identifying the 6 service members who died last week when their refueling plane crashed in western Iraq. They were tied to the National Guard and Air Force units in Alabama, Florida, and Ohio. Sergeant Ashley Pruitt from Kentucky was a mom of 2. Major Alex Splinter from Alabama had 7-month-old twins and a 2-year-old. Captain Ariana Sabino was a pilot from Washington State. Captain Seth Koval was from Indiana. Captain Curtis Danks and Sergeant Tyler Simmons were both from Ohio. U.S. Central Command has said the crash happened while in friendly airspace. The other plane landed safely and investigation is underway. I'm Julie Walker.
Wall Street again, Dow ahead by 465 points. That's an increase of 1%. News and analysis, townhall.com. The United States has made an historic shift in its trade dynamics.
America is importing more goods from Taiwan than from China for the first time in decades. This change is primarily attributed to the implementation of tariffs and a substantial surge in demand for technology products, particularly those related to artificial intelligence.
That's correspondent Ron Taylor reported. A former Colorado funeral home owner faces 20 years in prison after giving families fake ashes. She helped her ex-husband hide nearly 200 decomposing bodies. Harry Halford is asking for leniency when she is sentenced later in the day.
What the man said.
WNBA commissioner says
That's
progress
disgusting.
is being made toward getting a new collective bargaining agreement. The two sides met for another marathon negotiating session yesterday. It didn't end until about 3 o'clock this morning. And more talks are scheduled for later today.
What,
More on
WNBA?
these stories at townhall.com.
Yeah, they're going through that right now, yeah. Bargaining.
Hi, neighbor. Middleboro Gas and Electric would like to share a quick safety tip with you.
And the baseball is too, I think.
What's that?
The bargaining,
Yes.
yeah. And so is WNBA. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. They gotta get a deal done. That MLB has to get a deal done before the end of the year. Okay, let's see. 236. And yeah, as you heard there on the Salem Radio News, this year is going to be very interesting when it comes to bargaining agreements with some leagues. WNBA, they're going through that right now, trying to get a deal done. And the MLB is also going through that right now and trying to get a deal done. They got a deadline of the end of the year to get a deal done, or this time next year you won't see any baseball. So they're going to be a tight deadline here in the coming months. I'm pretty confident, I think, that eventually that they'll get a deal done here as well. And the WNBA, I'm much more confident they'll get a deal done. I think they are very, very close on a deal. It has been agreed to already. I haven't checked on that. But very close, I think, with the WNBA. But the MLB is going to be a little more tougher, I think, to get a deal done. But I believe that they will at the end of the day. Because, there's a lot of money at stake, obviously, for the league and the players. So, they'll eventually get a deal done, And probably it could go right down to the deadline, as all these negotiations usually do. So we'll see what happens there. All right, going back to the March Madness thing that we were talking about here. For the men's side, we're talking about the first round. Another game to watch is Alabama versus Hofstra. Hofstra is a 13th seed. Alabama is a 4 seed. Alabama should have no problem with Hofstra, barring a massive upset. I don't see that happening, at least in this game. Some other games here to watch. Tennessee is awaiting their opponent. That's one of the first 4 teams. Iowa and Clemson is also going to be an interesting game to watch. Very even, I think, these 2 teams. Like I said, usually the 8 and 9 seeds are usually teams that are very even. Usually, that's usually how it works out. Sometimes, one team beats the other by 30 points, but sometimes they're very, very close games. Northern Iowa takes on St. John's. St. John's is going to go very far in this tournament, I believe, in my opinion. They should have no problem with Northern Iowa. UCF and UCLA, that should be a good one. That's also taking place on Friday. Now, with Purdue as a 2 seed, wouldn't it be funny if Queen's University beats Purdue? It's not going to happen. Hopefully, it's not going to happen. Purdue is my personal favorite in the tournament. But 15 seeds have won before. So you got to keep an eye on that. I know no matter how unlikely it sounds that Queen's University can beat Purdue. You got to keep an eye on it because 15 seeds have beat 2 seeds before. So can't really dismiss Queen's University. However much I would really want to, but you can't really dismiss any of these teams. At the end of the day, it's not called March Madness for no reason. Florida, number 1 seed, they await a 16 seed. Florida should have no problem with the 16 seed. Florida is one of the best teams in college basketball, so they should have no problem. Florida Baptist, they're a great story, but they're going to lose to Kansas. UConn, now, I would say UConn should have no problem with Furman, but the way that UConn's been playing over the past couple of weeks, I'm a little worried. About UConn. I mentioned that I talked yesterday about this. I no longer believe UConn will win the national championship on the men's side. We'll get to the women's side. My opinion on that has not changed. And the majority of people's opinions on the women's side hasn't changed. But on the men's side, UConn isn't really a team that I think is going to win the national championship or maybe even make the Elite 8 at this point. They've had a very not so good couple of weeks. And when we're talking about 15 seeds, again, 15 seeds have beat 2 seeds before. Furman, they historically have been in the tournament, I think, a couple of times. Not sure if they've won a game or not. I don't know. But they've been in the tournament. They have experience. So keep an eye on it. I don't foresee it happening, but keep an eye on it. Furman could shock everybody. We'll see. I think UConn will at least make it to the Sweet 16, but I don't know if they'll go any further than that right now. They'll have to really impress me in order to have, situation where they can go back to the Final Four, things like that. And then Miami and Missouri, as well as one of the last games on Friday. That should be a good one. Missouri and Miami. Now for the women's side. I'm going to be quick with this. I'm going to try to be very, very quick with this because the way UConn's playing, I don't think next to none of these teams have a chance. There's only a select few that I would say alongside UConn could have a chance to win the national championship. We'll get to that in a second. Wednesday is the start of the first 4. Richmond and Nebraska will start things off there. That should be a good one. Stephen F. Austin versus Missouri State's the other game as well. Both of these games are on ESPN2. That should be an interesting one as well. That 16 seed will have the honor of getting destroyed by either UConn or UCLA. UCLA and UConn have no problem in these early rounds of the tournament. Thursday, the other first 4 games, Stanford and Southern was the other two 16 teams. Again, fighting for the honor of being beaten in the first round. And then Arizona State and Virginia is the other game there. So the first round begins on Friday. Day 1 of that first round. Games like Charleston and Duke take place. Duke should have no problem with Charleston. UC San Diego and TCU. TCU should have no problem. Virginia Tech and Oregon should be an interesting matchup. We'll see who Baylor faces as well. Their opponent has not been decided. Washington and South Dakota State. Keep an eye on that one. That should be an interesting matchup. Murray State and Maryland. Maryland should have no problem with Murray State, but again, 12 seeds do well at times in these tournaments, so we'll see what happens in that one. Gonzaga and Ole Miss. Ole Miss is very good. I think Ole Miss will win, but I think it'll be a closer game. Texas should have no problem with whoever they face. It's Texas and UConn, I believe. I think Texas and UConn or Texas and UCLA. They don't have an opponent for the first round. Well, we'll get to that in a second. Texas is one of the teams that does not have a opponent for the first round. Again, they'll have to face one of those 16 teams and should have no problem with them. Michigan, I hate to say this. They should have no problem with Holy Cross. I really want to see Holy Cross win at least one game, but they're not going to beat Michigan. No way. They're not going to beat Michigan. Western Illinois versus North Carolina. North Carolina should go pretty far in this tournament. LSU might be a team that goes pretty far as well. Keep an eye on LSU. They've had a lot of experience in the tournament and in the deep rounds in the tournament as well. Keep an eye on LSU. They're going to have probably no problem with Jacksonville. Green Bay versus Minnesota. That's going to be an interesting one. Minnesota should have no problem, though, with Green Bay. Colorado State and Michigan State will be a game to watch. Tennessee and NC State should be a very good game as well. I think Tennessee will go pretty far in the tournaments. Villanova and Texas Tech will be a good game to watch. Oklahoma and Idaho as well closes out Friday. Saturday, Howard takes on Ohio State. Louisville. Again, I hate to say this. They should have no problem taking on Vermont. I'd love to see Vermont win, but again, Vermont's not going to win, I don't think. South Carolina is another team that does not have an opponent for the first round yet. So they'll have the honor of taking on a 16 seed and beating a 16 seed. South Carolina is one of those teams where I can say that, along with UConn, could have a good shot at winning a national championship if there is big upsets there. If UConn gets eliminated at any point. But we'll see. We'll have to see. South Carolina is a very, very good team, as they've been for the past couple of years. Georgia, they're awaiting an opponent as well, who's going to be in the first 4. Fairfield takes on Notre Dame. That should be an interesting matchup. Fairfield this year has done very good, so we'll see what happens in this one. Notre Dame is historically a pretty good team on the women's side, but they're 22-10. So Fairfield might have a shot if they play the game correctly. If they play it right, they were able to shut down Notre Dame right. Then you might have a shot at seeing an upset here. James Madison and Kentucky. That should be an interesting matchup. You might see an upset here as well. Rhode Island and Alabama. You might see an upset here. You might see an upset here. Alabama's good. Alabama's a 6th seed in this tournament, but Rhode Island this year, 28-4. They're very good. Yes, they're an 11 seed, but they're very good. I wouldn't be surprised if there's at least one upset here, for them, and they get into the round of 32. Now, do I see them as a round of 16, as a Sweet 16? Depends on who they get in the round of 32. Depends on who they get in the round of 32. UTSA, those players that they showed a video of the UTSA players celebrating themselves getting into the tournament. And, that's great. That's great. But good luck against UConn. That's all I'll say. Good luck against UConn. Gonna see what the final score is. UTSA has 0 shot. Absolutely 0 shot of beating UConn. 0. We gotta be realistic. I like that story. UTSA getting in there as a 16 seed. The players looked happy. As long as they have fun in the tournament, that's the best. That's the best. But no, UTSA is not going to beat UConn. If UTSA beats UConn, then pretty much everyone's bracket is busted. By the way, if that happens, and chaos basically online. That's basically what will happen if UConn loses to UTSA. It's not going to happen though. It really isn't. USC and Clemson's another good game. Iowa. Then you got Virginia, West Virginia, and Miami of Ohio on the women's side made it as well. It's a 13 seed. They don't have to go through the first 4. We'll see what happens here. West Virginia is a good team, though. So we'll have to see on that one. Syracuse and Iowa State. That should be a fun matchup. Vanderbilt on the women's side also made it, and they're a very high seed. So they might go far in the tournament. We'll have to see. Princeton also made it as a 9 seed. They have a good shot to beat Oklahoma State. Illinois and Colorado, and UCLA and California Baptist. Thank you for coming, California Baptist. I don't think you're going to win against UCLA. Anyway, so that is your tournament kind of breakdown here. And we'll see what happens. Again, it's not called March Madness for no reason. So you might see some upsets in the first round. You might see some upsets in the later rounds as well. We'll have to see what happens there. But I believe on the women's side, I think UConn will win the national championship pretty easily. At least in those early rounds, they'll kind of blow through these early rounds pretty easily. And then, you'll see them in the national championship, I think, in my opinion. Duke, I think you'll see them in the national championship. I think they will win it. So we'll have to see there. Quick update on a couple of other things. The Red Sox and the Orioles, they have a game today. It is canceled. They will not be playing today. The next game will be the Red Sox versus the Braves tomorrow at 1:05 p.m. The Red Sox will be at Fort Myers for that game. Red Sox are kind of doing, at times they've been doing pretty good, and at other times not so much. The Braves are a very good spring training team, 15-5-2. Red Sox are just okay. They're 10-11 right now, so we'll have to see what happens in that one. The World Baseball Classic. Let's take a quick look at the World Baseball Classic. And then we're going to be done with the sports for today. Venezuela will take on Italy today. The winner goes on to take on the U.S., and that will be tomorrow on Fox. Tonight on FS1 is Venezuela and Italy. We'll have to see what happens in that one. That should be a good one. I think Venezuela will win that one, and it will be United States versus Venezuela. But Italy has been very good in this tournament, so we'll have to see. There's a chance that Italy does get the win here. All right, 11:54 a.m. here. Open phone lines today, 508-822-1106, 508-822-1106. We had a great couple of weeks coming up here in the Middleboro area. You have the Cooler Fair that's coming up in not this weekend. You'll hear on this week on one of Ron's shows. I believe it was Tuesday, correct, Ron? Tomorrow you'll hear an interview with Sustainable Middleboro. So keep an eye on that tomorrow and take a listen to that. And if you're in the Middleboro area, go over to the Cooler Fair on Saturday. Also coming up in a couple of weeks is the Herring Run Festival. That's going to be fun as well. I haven't heard anything about the herring appearing yet. I haven't checked that. I'm not sure if anyone knows if the herring have arrived here in the area. Let us know. 508-822-1106. But I almost said tournament. The festival. There we go. The festival is coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll talk about that again, I'm sure, a couple of times here before the festival does take place. So that's a couple of events going on in the Middleboro area. You also got some really good Taunton events as well. One of the annual events that happens every year for Taunton, and that is the Taste of Greater Taunton happens coming up next week as well. You got St. Patrick's Day, some St. Patrick's Day events coming up tomorrow as well. You had St. Patrick's Day events this weekend, especially in Boston. They had the breakfast and the parade yesterday. So St. Patrick's Day is tomorrow. So a lot of events going on with that as well. All right, moving on to the MBTA. Not much, I think, really to talk about. They did have a couple of things that happened this week. There was a slow speed derailment, a commuter rail derailment that has caused delays, and that was near South Station. And it caused several delays on the Friday evening commute. According to Keolis, a single coach on the Providence Line train 851 came off the rails at a low rate of speed. This was between South Station and Back Bay. Transit officials said there were 350 on board. There were no reports of any injuries, which is a very good thing. Very, very good thing there. All passengers were escorted off the train safely and went back to South Station. So there's also been reports of delays on the Red Line. Fire on the tracks on the Red Line has caused some delays this morning. Just before 8:30 a.m., flames created a smoky scene at the Quincy Center MBTA station around 8:30 a.m. this morning. Commuters who spoke with 7 News said they did let the train leave the station after several workers took fire extinguishers off. According to the team, delays of about 20 minutes are being reported due to the fire department activity. And I don't know if I can double check real quick here on the MBTA website and let everyone know if there's still any delays here as of right now. It shows no delays. There's no delays right now on the Red Line, so that has cleared up. Red Line riders, however, can expect a longer travel time on the Ashmont branch after 8 p.m. to the end of service. This is to allow for critical signal work near JFK and UMass. So that's really the only delays you're going to be seeing for the rest of the day. If you're in Boston tonight and want to take the Red Line after 8 o'clock, expect some delays there. Doesn't seem like there's much going on with the subways, which is a good thing. A lot of work has been done to the subways over the past couple of years to make them very, very reliable, in my opinion. So that's been pretty good. On the Orange Line, there's not much either. Just Jackson Square Station's got some improvements going on there. which will be done probably by the end of the year this year, I believe. Mattapan line, nothing going on there as well, and the red line. Really not much going on other than what I just mentioned there. And your normal escalator and elevator closures, which I'm not going to mention because that could be a whole segment in itself. There's always so many elevator and escalator closures on the MBTA. I don't understand why that is, but there you go. That happens a lot. Anyway, it is 12 o'clock. I want to thank everyone for listening to today's program. I will be back on Thursday for an edition of Cranberry Country Journal. I will be hosting for Paul Lazarovich, who is out until next Thursday. In the last segment of this Thursday's program, we will be replaying the Mo Guthrie interview from last June. I've played it a couple times here on the air. It's a very good interview, so I wanted to play it again here on Thursday's program here. So if you're wanting to listen to that, tune in at 10:35 a.m. on Thursday for that interview. All right, and until then, I hope everyone has a great week and stay safe because there'll be wind and a lot of rain and some thunderstorms tonight. So stay safe if you're out there driving on the roads. And I will talk to everyone on Thursday. Bye-bye. Is this all right? Okay. 9:07.
Middleboro Center, 99.7 FM, your hometown radio station.
All right. Oh, did I end up giving you the list of stuff?
No,
No. Okay.
I'm gonna work on that on Thursday anyway
Yeah.
for an hour.
Okay. I should do that for you.
You can wait until that time.
Okay. I'll try to get that done tonight and get a list together.
Working